Fernando Alonso has put any rumours about him harbouring a grudge against his former teammate Lewis Hamilton to rest. Speaking to the media, Alonso stated that he had declared his support for Ferrari this season because he was dissatisfied with how things went last season at McLaren. Want to know more? Keep watching the video. Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton are not friends, as is well known in Formula 1. Alonso had just won back-to-back F1 World Championships when he left Renault to join McLaren in 2007. Because the working-base team had fired June Pablo Montoya and Kimi Raikkonen had gone from Ferrari, Alonso was banned for the 2007 Formula 1 season by rookie Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton had been a test driver for the team since 2004, so he was more familiar with how the McLaren car handled than Alonso. In the season opener, Fernando finished ahead of Lewis and won. Hamilton was the more consistent driver in Malaysia, finishing each of the 4 rounds on the podium. McLaren brought its first upgraded front wing by round 5 in Monaco, which appeared to hinder Alonso's driving style more than Fernando's. Although Alonso won the race, team owner Ron Dennis stated that it should have been Hamilton's first race victory. Fernando Alonso had just made an explosive claim that diminishes Hamilton's title achievements, but we need to go back to 2007 to understand why Lewis and Fernando don't get along. According to Dutch F1 journalist Jack Ploy, Fernando Alonso holds a grudge against his former McLaren teammate Lewis Hamilton. The most recent meeting between the Spaniard and the Brit occurred during the Hungarian Grand Prix, when the former held the reigning champion, ensuring that his current teammate Esteban Ocon won for the first time. What piqued race fans' interest was when, during a post-race interview, Fernando Alonso was greeted by a rather friendly Max Verstappen and told him, "I tried." This was about the Spaniard's efforts to prevent Mercedes ace Lewis Hamilton from passing him and gaining valuable points in the championship battle. When asked if he believes Alonso's comment implies he was attempting to assist Verstappen, Ploy responded, "Absolutely," as quoted by Formula1News.co.uk. He harbours ill will toward Hamilton. They're like water and fire. So, he thinks to himself, if I can screw over Hamilton, I will. He, Hamilton, is perhaps not the most loved in Holland because of that action with Max that is burned into everyone's retinas, he explained. But, to be honest, being world champion requires you to be a bit of a jerk. You are not required to be a nice guy at all. Max has to be nice to who? Nobody. He must win the world championship at any cost. Esteban Ocon is the same person. What a great help Alonso in Hungary was to that guy. Alonso insists that his grudge isn't personal against Lewis and that he respects him. Alonso believes the 23-year-old will win the World Drivers' Championship this Sunday in Interlagos, Brazil. Lewis is unquestionably the favourite, Alonso told reporters. He's 7 points ahead, and if he finishes the race, he'll win the championship. Lewis will triumph. I've said many times that I admire Lewis, and we talk together. There are no issues. However, I believe I will always prefer to see any team other than McLaren win. From a driver standpoint, Alonso believes that the rest of the field will stay clear of title contenders Felipe Massa and Lewis Hamilton this weekend. I don't see any possibility of someone colliding with Felipe or Lewis, he said. I hope the race will be very, very clean. I don't see anything happening, and they'll both finish on the podium. Alonso emphasized that he has nothing but respect for Hamilton and that his beef is solely with McLaren for how he was treated last season. Do you believe Alonso has a vendetta against Hamilton, or do you think it is solely with McLaren? Is it legal for him to hold a grudge against McLaren? Please leave your feedback and suggestions in the comments section. As a personal heads up, look for my qualifying and race reports this Sunday as I wrap up this season, Hamilton said. This week, Fernando Alonso has been in the news for various reasons, including comments about Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen's World Championships. Earlier this week, the Spaniard suggested that Verstappen's 2 championships weren't more impressive because they came during more competitive seasons. Max's titles are more valuable than Hamilton's, Alonso told De Telegraph. I have a lot of respect for Lewis, but it's not the same as winning 7 world championships while only fighting your teammate. Those remarks had already landed the Alpine driver in hot water, so he took to social media to clarify his comments. And again, please, all of the titles are incredible, well deserved and inspiring, he tweeted. Incomparable to one another, and let us enjoy champions and legends of our time. I'm sick of looking for headlines all the time. Let us have fun with them. The drama didn't stop there, as Lewis Hamilton posted a photo of himself on the top step of a podium, with Alonso, his McLaren teammate at the time, in second place. Lewis Hamilton has named Fernando Alonso his most formidable all-time Formula 1 competitor, at least on pure pace, on the eve of his 300th Grand Prix. Hamilton's journey to the top of motorsport began in 2007 when he was promoted to a race seat at McLaren by then team boss Ron Dennis. Hamilton won his first Grand Prix with Alonso at the Woking-based team in his 6th race in Canada. However, a bitter intra-team rivalry between the Briton and the Spaniard shattered their relationship mid-season, forcing Alonso to return to Renault at the end of the season. 15 years later, neither driver holds a grudge against the other, and Hamilton singled out his former adversary when asked to name his strongest F1 competitor on Thursday at Paul Ricard. "I think it's difficult to say who has necessarily been the strongest competitor because you're in a different place in your life every time you're with someone," he said. "When I was 22, I had the task of working alongside Fernando. I was so young mentally and, of course, okay in terms of skill, but going up against a great guy like Fernando was a lot of pressure. I'd say on pure speed, Fernando. We had some exciting battles. I wish there were more. Hopefully, he'll continue to race and we'll have more in the future." As for Alonso, the near 41-year-old admitted that battling wheel to wheel with Hamilton has always been a pleasure. "To be honest, I don't think he's changed much," said the two-time world champion Alpine driver. He had the talent already in 2007. He still has the talent now with experience. "He has been a tremendous driver, a legend of our sport, so it has always been a pleasure to share all this time with him." Hamilton, who is gearing up for his 16th season in F1, finished second in the World Championship behind Kimi Raikkonen, with Alonso a place behind. The Alpine ace entered the 2007 season, having won the world title with Ferrari in 2005 and 2006. Despite having the same number of points as the British legend, 37, he finished third because Hamilton had more second-place finishes. Alonso only stayed at McLaren for a year due to internal conflicts with the 7-time world champion. Their strained relationship at the time was highlighted in journalist Frank Worrell's biography of Hamilton. "It caused a lot of commotion when the press said we preferred Lewis because he was British," Marker quoted. "This was a lie. We were a team that owed everything to McLaren. Ron would never let that happen. Lewis was unique. He applied himself more than most experienced drivers and, unlike the rest, was touched by a magic wand." Alonso was almost always irritable. "We talked in 2008, 2010 and 2011, and we were closer than ever in those years," the former Renault driver said in November. "We realized in 2007 that our bosses were not managing us well." To this day, Hamilton and Alonso have a fractious relationship. After a collision in Belgium in the 2022 season, the Mercedes driver sent his Alpine counterpart a signed hat as a sarcastic apology. Alonso has always kept his reputation as a problematic driver to work with. Next season, Aston Martin will discover the truth. But Slade claims Alonso was never a challenge. "I had a great time working with Fernando. He's the Formula 1 Terminator, isn't he? He never gives up and is extremely fast. You just knew you were working with someone who is desperate to win every race he entered, which was fantastic. I've never had a problem with Fernando. I had a great time working with him." The FIA has released their report on the 2021 season finale controversy, in which race director Michael Massey appeared to incorrectly allow Red Bull's Max Verstappen to overtake Lewis Hamilton on the final lap and win the championship. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, leave a like and share the video with your friends and family.